3 years earlier, doctors confirmed the first case of a plant virus that quickly spread worldwide and began destroying ecosystems. People who ate crops carrying the infection started developing serious autoimmune illnesses, and as plant life died off, oxygen levels dropped to about 10%. With less oxygen in the air, extreme weather and other disasters became more common across the planet. Major research labs tried to find a cure, but failed, and many people started believing Earth would not recover.
Oxygen levels drop below 10%, people will begin to suffocate.
Scientists then put their remaining hope in Project Gemini, led by Dr. Stephen. The project centered on two strange alien objects found by paleontologists, who believed the artifacts were roughly 4 billion years old, from a time before life existed on Earth. Stephen's group managed to copy the material the objects were made from and built working replicas. One artifact, described as an engine, made it possible to construct a ship that could travel without a crew, and that unmanned craft located a planet that could be changed and prepared for humans.
We managed to recreate the super tough materials that the sphere...
The second artifact was a sphere meant to create life. It worked through a long set of coded commands, and the team had only recently finished translating them. The sphere also served as evidence that life on Earth had been started by alien beings. A new crew made up of doctors and military pilots was selected to travel and use the sphere to build a new version of Earth on the planet they planned to terraform. A world in another solar system hundreds of light years away.
We are departing for the solar system test.
Stephen was married to a woman named Amy, and she did not want him to leave for the mission. On launch day, she went to the base to stop him from going, but she arrived too late. She could only watch as the spacecraft departed and disappeared from Earth. As the ship climbed out of the atmosphere, a strange crack formed on the alien sphere, suggesting there might be other forces involved beyond the crew's understanding. Using the engine's technology, the ship created a warping portal that allowed it to jump across vast distances in space. Right after they passed through, the onboard systems reported a problem. They had not reached their destination planet tests. Instead, the readings showed they had arrived somewhere unfamiliar. Stephen immediately held engineer Peter responsible, believing the coordinates were entered wrong. He removed Peter from his duties for the time being. Later, as Stephen tried to rest, his thoughts kept returning to Amy, and also to the first time he activated the sphere, when he briefly saw an odd humanoid shape that vanished almost as soon as it appeared.
The mission failed, Peter. There is no hope for Earth now.
Stephen pushed the crew to calculate a new jump path to identify their location and correct the course, but they discovered it was impossible. Their navigation data was unreliable and scrambled, as if the ship had passed through a region of space that did not follow normal rules, like moving between the third and fourth dimensions.
The trajectory is not clear. The data doesn't make any sense at all.
At the same time, Peter left his sleeping area and removed a security camera, intending to check the alien sphere alone without being observed. While he was doing this, the ship's computer reported that the repair airlock had been opened and that an unknown object was moving toward the vessel. Shortly afterward, the crew saw something outside that stunned them. Peter was floating in space, completely frozen. Dr. David assumed Peter had taken his own life because he could not handle being blamed for the navigation failure. Dr. Leona immediately rejected the idea, saying she had known him for 8 years, and he was not the type to do that.
The repair airlock of the engine compartment was open.
Shit!
Stephen reacted harshly to Leona's emotions. He criticized her for caring about someone he believed had endangered the entire human race and ordered her to replace Peter and take over his responsibilities. Later, David admitted that after his daughter died, he had nearly given up as well, but continued because he believed he could still contribute. Now, with the mission seemingly collapsing, he felt that same emptiness returning. Stephen told him they were not finished yet and insisted they would still find a way to fix things.
Everything will be all right. We'll find a way out of this.
Soon after, the ship detected a nearby planet that appeared to be mostly volcanic rock. Scans showed there was no oxygen, but the surface conditions were not otherwise hostile, meaning they could move around using only breathing masks. Stephen saw it as a workable backup plan and pushed to land as quickly as possible.
What if this isn't an accident? What if we were brought here on purpose?
Captain Ryan tried to slow him down, pointing out that they had not completed a full assessment of the planet and that Stephen was acting too quickly with the crew's safety at stake. Stephen refused to back off, reminding everyone that he was in charge and would decide what happened next. The plan was for the main group to descend in a shuttle, while an officer named Richard remained on the larger ship in orbit.
I said, we are landing.
As the shuttle descended, it encountered a violent storm that struck suddenly and with force. To avoid crashing at full speed, they activated the braking thrusters to slow the descent. They understood this would consume all their fuel and leave them unable to return to the mothership, but it was the only way to avoid destruction in the storm.
I can double the thrust. It'll slow your fall.
We will die!
When the shuttle finally slammed into the ground, the crew lost consciousness. While Stephen was unconscious, he drifted into a dream of a moment with Amy, when he gave her a bracelet made from a specific piece taken from the original sphere, trying to connect the two things that mattered most to him.
You know, the sphere means a lot to me, but not as much as you do.
Not long after the crash, the crew regained consciousness and quickly returned to the mission. The shuttle was still usable and had not suffered life-ending damage, but its fuel was almost gone, meaning they could not leave the planet. Stephen did not see this as a crisis. He said they were supposed to stay for 4 years anyway. And although they had landed in the wrong location, he believed one of the nearby massive caves could still provide shelter where they could operate the sphere and begin the next phase.
Fiona, you get the data on seismic activity. David, adjust the program.
While the team focused on repairs and planning, something else was happening inside the shuttle. In its hidden passageways, a strange slime-like substance began dripping from the walls. In orbit, Richard moved through the mothership to inspect different compartments and discovered the security camera that had gone missing. After the crew suited up and made sure everyone was sealed and protected, they carried the sphere to the nearest cave. They powered it on, and it activated without issue. With that done, they returned to the shuttle to begin gathering readings and mapping the environment. Before they could fully settle into that work, Ryan interrupted and announced that he was placing the station under martial law.
We're returning to base. Move out.
To justify taking control, Ryan presented files Richard had sent while the doctors were distracted. The material included a video Peter had recorded during his private inspection of the sphere, apparently meant to show he was being careful so he could not be blamed later. In the recording, Peter opened a door leading into the engine area and noticed movement in the darkness. Something attacked him from the shadows, killed him, and pushed his body out into space.
I'm gonna prove that I made no mistake.
Richard explained that after reviewing all available footage, he concluded the intruder had been with them since leaving Earth. He believed it had hidden inside the sphere like a Trojan horse. According to Richard, the stowaway likely disrupted the jump and caused them to miss tests. He also said the creature was no longer on the mothership, as it had descended to the planet with the shuttle. He claimed he could still track it due to the electromagnetic interference it produced, which also explained the unstable and unclear video.
Into the sphere. We can track its position.
The argument over what to do next was abruptly interrupted when David noticed a new system issue. He reported that the sphere was not running the program they had uploaded and was executing something else. Stephen immediately wanted to return to the sphere and check it himself, but Ryan stopped him. Ryan declared that Stephen was no longer allowed to lead and accused him of hiding information from the crew.
Steve, I'm taking command. You're being relieved.
He then revealed that Richard had also found footage showing Stephen encountering a strange humanoid shape earlier. Ryan argued that Stephen knew there was a potential threat and chose not to warn anyone, blaming Peter's death on that decision. Stephen took the accusation as a direct insult. He left the room abruptly, thinking about how much work he and David had put into the project and how quickly everything was unraveling.
And didn't say anything to anyone, risking the lives of the entire crew.
Before the journey, Stephen had doubts about bringing David on the mission because David was still grieving his daughter. David insisted he was stable and said he came to help create a safer Earth, where other children would not suffer the same fate. In the present, Stephen found David and asked him to secretly leave with him through the airlock so they could check the sphere without permission.
I know the sphere as well as you do, and you'll need me there.
David hesitated because he did not want to defy Ryan's authority, but Stephen pressured him by invoking his daughter and what the planet's future depended on. When they reached the cave, they saw the sphere was generating an alien life form far faster than it had when life was first created on Earth. It quickly became clear someone had changed the sphere's settings.
And incredibly quickly. Faster than it created life on Earth.
Stephen immediately began adjusting the controls, fully focused on the device, and ignoring David's urgent request to leave and report the issue to the rest of the crew. While Stephen worked, David noticed movement on the radar and realized the alien creature was approaching. To force Stephen to respond, David fired a warning shot toward him.
The sphere is hostile!
Stephen responded by drawing his own weapon, and the situation nearly turned violent. Before either of them did more, they realized the creature had already entered the cave. Stephen grabbed a fragment from the sphere, and both men ran, guided only by the creature's shadows and the sounds echoing behind them as it closed in. They finally saw the alien clearly once they were out of the cave. Just before it reached them, they got inside the shuttle and sealed the airlock. David confronted Stephen, accusing him of endangering them both. Stephen brushed it off, arguing the sphere mattered more than anything, and warned David he would not hesitate to use his weapon next time.
If you threaten the mission one more time, I will.
Ryan arrived soon after and also confronted Stephen. Their argument escalated fast and Ryan struck him. Almost immediately, the ship's computer triggered an alarm warning that the module's structural integrity had been breached.
Module integrity compromised.
Leona left her quarters to investigate the alert and found large amounts of the same strange substance coating the ceilings. Before she could pull back, she was suddenly dragged into another section of the ship. Frank then told her the alien had ripped through part of the lower deck and entered the lander. Moving slowly and carefully, the two tried to hide in the lab, where the air was thinning and becoming harder to breathe.
Trojans in the lander. Got a hole in the lower deck.
Suddenly, the power cut out and the area fell into darkness. A strange sound came from behind the plant units, making it clear the alien was close. Frank reacted instantly and shoved Leona out so she could escape. As she ran down the corridor, she heard Frank screaming, and it was obvious the creature killed him. Leona reached the control room and found the rest of the team there. She explained what happened, and Ryan turned his anger on Stephen, blaming him for bringing the alien back with him. The group put together what they knew. The creature entered by tearing through the structure, opening a new gap through an already damaged area. It also destroyed the generator, and the security cameras no longer worked. Because of that, they lost contact with Richard and could not see what was happening elsewhere on the ship.
It damaged the generator and the cameras aren't working. We lost contact with the ship, so...
They realized the only way to regain control is to reach the backup generator and restore full systems, including communications and tracking. The problem is that doing this without knowing the creature's position is extremely dangerous. Stephen offers to go, saying he should be the one to take the risk since the situation is tied to his actions.
I'll watch your six.
With his weapon ready, Stephen moves through the ship step by step and reaches the generator. He manages to restore communications, which allows the team to track the alien again. The control room warns him that it is very close. As Stephen tries to head back, he hears the same disturbing noises nearby, signaling that the creature is almost on top of him. Ryan responds quickly. Using a metal rope, he pulls Stephen back towards safety and drags him into the control room before the alien reaches him. After that close call, the team agrees on a new plan. They will try to force the creature out of the ship using smoke and controlled airflow.
We have a chance to lead it wherever we want, like outside the lander.
Stephen waits outside the main area to act as bait. Leona opens the airlocks and then opens the lab door, then quickly runs to hide in another room. The alien comes out, drawn by the movement and the setup. It moves through the airlocks, heading toward the exit path they prepared.
You can do it.
Richard attempts to activate the engine to burn the creature as it passes, but he cannot get control because the alien's presence disrupts the signal. Stephen panics and runs, trying to stay ahead of it. Leona moves in to help him, but the alien appears again at the worst moment. Then Richard suddenly regains access to the engine controls and triggers the fire.
Engine's on! Leona, get out! Get out!
Stephen and Leona sprint back inside as the creature is hit by the blast. The flames slow it down, but they do not kill it. It continues trying to reach Stephen. David grabs Stephen and drags him through the doorway while the alien lashes out. A tentacle strikes David's arm just as the door closes, leaving part of the creature's limb trapped inside. The alien pulls back and retreats toward the cave. Ryan seals the airlocks, and the rest of the crew starts working to close and reinforce the damaged opening.
Return to the cave.
Shortly afterward, the team discovers Frank's body. Overcome by grief, Leona begins to consider ending her own life. At the same time, Stephen's thoughts return to Amy. He remembers how she tried to stop him from leaving, telling him she was working on a vaccine. More importantly, she had told him she was pregnant. Even knowing this, Stephen still chose the mission, believing that saving the planet mattered more than his personal life.
The mission will create a new Earth, but we could save this one.
David goes to the lab to have his injured arm treated, while Stephen takes the severed tentacle to examine it more closely. Through his analysis, Stephen realizes the creature is not a natural organism, but a biological machine, built from the same material as the sphere. This leads him to conclude that the true purpose of the sphere was never to create peaceful life, but to produce these creatures.
Maybe they are much more advanced than we are.
Stephen tells David that the tentacle has infected him with a form of bacteria that has an extremely strong defense response. This means David's blood now contains the key component needed to develop a vaccine that could potentially save Earth. When Stephen cuts into the tentacle to study it further, the lights in the lab begin to malfunction, and he recalls the strange image he saw earlier. He now understands that the alien functions as a signal device, and that this is how its species spreads and takes over planets.
And it's all because of you. You are the real hero.
Stephen decides the only solution is to destroy the alien and reset the sphere's programming. Before he can act, Ryan locks him inside the lab and places him under arrest, accusing him of endangering everyone on board. Ryan argues that Stephen treats human lives as expendable, and David agrees, saying Stephen is driven by a need to see himself as a hero rather than by genuine concern for humanity.
People are expendable to you.
Ryan,
These accusations trigger a memory of Stephen's last argument with Amy. She had told him he was obsessed with saving the world and accused him of having a savior complex before angrily throwing away the bracelet he gave her. Despite being locked up, Stephen continues his research. He forms a theory that Richard later confirms by checking the travel records. The ship did not move through space, it moved through time. They are still on Earth, but 4 billion years in the past before any life existed. The sphere they brought with them is the same object that scientists will one day uncover in the distant future.
We moved in time.
It's Ursa Major.
While David's condition continues to worsen, Stephen becomes fixated on another realization. The fragment of the sphere he took earlier is the exact piece he will later use to create Amy's bracelet. Understanding the significance of this loop, Stephen writes a message onto the fragment, meant to guide Amy in the future and teach her how to activate the sphere they have left behind.
How do you plan to do that?
We know that the sphere...
Back in the present, Amy goes to Stephen's laboratory while struggling to process the report that the mission has failed. During this, Richard brings urgent information to Stephen, saying Ryan is preparing explosives to destroy the sphere and has shut off his radio so nobody can argue with him. Richard reopened the airlock so Stephen can leave confinement. Once he reaches Ryan and sees the explosives, Stephen tries to stop him and insists there are better options than destroying everything. Before they can take the discussion further, Ryan is suddenly shot and killed without warning.
Lock the airlocks and blow it up.
The shooter turns out to be David. He has escaped through the airlock and has become unstable due to the infection. In his altered state, he believes the alien has chosen him, and he convinces himself that helping it is the correct path because humans are a mistake produced by the sphere. Stephen reacts quickly, throwing Leona's Rubik Cube against a wall to distract David for a moment. Stephen then shoots David, forcing him to retreat while injured.
because there will never be any people to begin with.
After that, Stephen sets the bomb to go off later. He then goes outside and fires a flare to draw the alien toward him. He leads the creature back to the control room and traps it inside by locking the area. As Stephen moves through the corridors afterward, David appears again and starts shooting at him, forcing Stephen into cover. During this chaos, the alien breaks out of the control room and advances towards Stephen. Stephen manages to stop it from overpowering him by firing a fast shot at close range. The creature continues hunting him as he runs. When Stephen reaches the control room again, he runs into David, who tries once more to kill him. Before David can finish it, the alien arrives and kills David instead. That gives Stephen just enough time to escape the shuttle moments before the bomb detonates. The explosion destroys the alien. Stephen collapses outside and loses consciousness briefly. He wakes to Richard calling out over communications, trying to find anyone still alive. Richard wants to come down to help, but the storm is too dangerous for a landing. Stephen tells him not to risk it and says he is going back to the cave to use the sphere.
I'm going to the cave. I need to contact Amy.
In the present timeline, Amy finds her bracelet again and finally notices the message on it. She uses the instructions to activate the sphere on her side as well. In that moment, the past and present connect, allowing Amy and Stephen to encounter each other across time. Stephen quickly shares the vaccine formula and then expresses his feelings for her as the connection fades and shuts down.
There's a mechanism that can help us create the vaccine.
I love you. Both of you.
Stephen dies in the cave because there is not enough oxygen. Amy breaks down when she realizes he is gone. Months later, she is caring for a healthy baby, and the vaccine is being used to help Earth recover and improve.
The earth, O Lord, is full of thy mercy.